Please join me in welcoming our facilitator for this masterclass, who will not only demystify why some NGOs get funded, while some do not, but will also highlight what motivates companies to invest in a social development project. We have with us Mr. Kumar Anurag Pratap. Mr. Anurag brings with him more than 24 years of diversified experience and at present anchors CSR at Capgemini India. Over the past 2 decades, he has worked with grassroots agencies, donor agencies, UN agencies, and corporates. His core competency lies in long term strategic planning and vision building among diverse stakeholder groups. He specializes in leading organizations towards change and transition management in social development space. Author of various articles on development issues and challenges, Mr. Anurag is also recipient of various awards and recognitions. He speaks frequently at various academic institutes, seminars, and workshops on social development issues and strategies to address them. Mr. Anurag, it's a pleasure to have you join us today. Over to you now.
Thank you, Pooja. It is my privilege to be with all of you today to, in the sense, share some of my experiences in the area of how we can build trust between NGOs and the CSR. It's privilege, it's honor to talk about some of the, I'll say, experiences which I gathered in my last 24 years. It's interesting one. To all the audience, I must say there that when you look at me today, you may feel that I am from the CSR side, but out of 24 years, I spent around 14 years in the NGO side in looking at some of the challenges or looking at some of the issues or the constraints that NGOs every day faces, and also in the sense also looked at some of the innovative solutions that NGOs have there in their own kitty to respond. So what I'll try to do and the aim and intent or attempt will be to, in the sense, talk about some of those experiences and look at how one can create a more structured and a more cohesive relationship with CSR and NGOs. There are I'll say some of the relevant contexts which we all need to understand and acknowledge. One is that with some of the newer changes which came out in the FCRA Act, clearly makes CSR funding a much more, I'll say, sought after funding, because FCRA rules, in the sense, will not allow the FCRA fund to be given to the second recipient or the third recipient that we used to do earlier, which was usually the route in which some of the smaller NGOs used to get the funding. So with that effectively getting closed down, it becomes I'll say the CSR will need to play a more important and a more, I'll say, intensive role to ensure that all the smaller NGOs should also get the support that they should be getting in. That's the context that we all are in right now. The another context is that there's a huge number of NGOs there. There are numbers. There are estimates which put those numbers in millions. There are estimates which put those numbers in, I'll say, in a number matrix which looks at them to be something which is present everywhere, anywhere. But if you check with any of the CSR guys, they'll say that I know a handful of them. Rest of them are just there on the paper. The question again comes in there is that why they feel, or why we feel that there are a handful of them who are active, others are not active. The third context, which is when we move on to discussing about how to build the rapport with corporates, it will be very pertinent, and I shared this earlier, that there's a huge amount of mistrust between mistrust that an NGO has for corporate don't trust NGOs, and both of them, they don't trust government. Ironically, we need all three to work in tandem. We need all three to respond together. We need all three to collaborate together. And it becomes very difficult when you do not have the trust there, because we tend to feel that others are not doing what they are supposed to do. That's these three contexts are, I'll say, very important and relevant when we move into the whole realm of what it is needed to or what are the things needed to build a more cohesive, a more fruitful relationship between corporate, uh, primarily the CSR arm of corporate, and NGOs. Ever felt and I'll give you, I love giving examples. Imagine there are on one street, there are two sweet shop, mithai ki dukan, and one is a ragtag in a very old building with the old structure, where the bench and desk are not clean, where the display unit where they keep those sweets are also not very proper, but they sell damn good sweets there. The quality of sweets are too good. Just in front of that particular shop, or just beside that particular shop, there is another shop, very neatly arranged, with proper signage there, with proper light there, with sweets arranged in display into a cabinet in a very proper manner. The sweets are arranged beautifully. Though the quality of sweets are not that great compared to the other shop, but you will find more and more people going to that particular shop. It happens with all of us, no? And we go deeper in that reason, or if we try to look at why people are going to that particular shop when the quality of sweets are not that great compared to the other shop, we all get that particular message that he or she understand how to showcase their product. He or she understand the aesthetics of the whole setup. He or she understand that there's a need to be visible there. He or she understand that there's a need to put signage there. This in a way answers why some of the NGOs are getting fund, why some of the NGOs are not getting fund. You will find some of the NGOs with very active website of theirs. Some of the NGOs feel that why I need a website when my work is so good. People will come to know about it, but people don't. They don't have time. If you ask, uh, in today's world, people are looking for quick solutions. People are looking for what is called uh, anything and everything which is instant. They do not have the patience. They don't have time to read your bulky 100-page report. They are looking for one-page synopsis, two-page synopsis. So they are looking for a website which explains things, which in the sense allows you to display your product, which allows you to present your projects and product in a way that people can understand, can relate with. This is one area that I have seen that NGOs miss out, because they feel that, hey, that's not needed. Hey, मैं वेबसाइट क्यों बनाऊं? वेबसाइट तो उन लोगों को बनाना चाहिए जिनका काम अच्छा नहीं है, मेरा तो काम ही इतना अच्छा है. But the point is that people will reach out to you only when they see you, and to make other people see you, you need a very, I'll say, good quality website there. And then the whole question comes in about the quality of website. So is your website old? Did you, what is called, update your website recently? Did you look at your content? Are your content in 2020? Are your content talking about things that happened in 1998 or 2001? That's the another question. And same, if I use the same example which I shared earlier, a shop also needs a constant improvement. A shop can't remain the same which was there, the same look, same signage which was there 20 years ago. They change that particular thing. They change their logo, they change their interior, they change their color, they change their other stuff. Similarly, we also need to change our priorities. We need to also, in the sense, make our website look different. We need our website to talk things differently. Then only people will feel that, yes, You're serious about the work that you are doing. That's one uh, uh, area which where I feel that NGOs need to really think seriously about how active they are present in the digital world. And it becomes much more important in the COVID era, when everything has become online, when everything has become digital, when everything is where people are asking about, are you present there on the internet world or not? It becomes much more important for us to make sure that our digital presence should be stronger, our digital presence should be updated, and our digital presence should be relevant. That's point number one that I wanted to share. Second, don't reach out to CSR when you need their support, their financial support. Don't reach out to them, but reach out to them when you want to share your work with them. Reach out to them when you wish to invite them for some of the event that's happening there in your NGO. Reach out to them for suggestions, advices, input. Reach out to them to share some of the good thing that you have done in partnership with some other corporate. What it happens is that people will remember that you do exist when they'll have a project there to support you. If you reach out to them with a project, and if they are not in need of or they don't have money right now to fund you, they'll dump your project. But just imagine a scenario where you reached out to them, you invited them as a chief guest or guest of honor for some of the program that was happening at the NGO level. They'll remember that, yes, I went in there. Yes, I saw the work that was happening there. It was, you went in there with your own terms and conditions. You didn't go there seeking something, but you went there to invite them for something. So just imagine you've changed the whole terms of reference in that particular manner. What's going to what was I'll say this CSR advantage, you converted that into your own advantage. You went there to invite them, you went there to give them a high seat, you went there to give them recognition, you went there to give them appreciation for the kind of work that CSR is doing. And when they'll look for an NGO, they'll certainly remember you, because there's no one in the world who doesn't like good praise. There's no one in the world who doesn't appreciate getting recognized. There's no one in the world who doesn't like someone appreciating them for the work that they are doing, or appreciating them for the kind of person that they are. So the rule number two is that reach out to a corporate with your body of work. Reach out to them to invite them. Reach out to them to inform them about some of the work that you are doing. So it's always good to what is called, send them an e-copy of your annual report, send them an e-report of some excellent project that you have done, send them a report of the third-party audit that someone did for the project that you are doing. Those things will get implanted in the CSR head's mind, because when he look for someone to support, or when she'll look for someone to support for the fund that he has, your name certainly will be there in the list, because he'll realize that, hey, I know that these guys are doing certain things. And believe me, in number of cases that has happened with me. I've reached out to those NGOs who have sent in their annual report earlier, who have sent in their I'll say third party audit report to me. And when I was looking for some NGOs to work in the area of education or in the area of scaling, I reached out to them saying that, hey, I know that you are doing this interesting work with X corporate. Are you interested? Are you interested to do similar kind of stuff in some other geographical area? So that's the point number two, where you change the term of engagement. Don't reach out to what is called for fund only, but reach out to them to share the work that's happening there. Third is, it happens all the time, that people jump on to the speaker after the panel discussion gets over to share their business card, to share them with the brochures, share them with the annual reports and all. My suggestion is avoid it. you wait in your own time and your moment to reach out to them, to introduce about yourself, and then take their email ID, reach out to them when they go back to their office, when they are sitting on their own cubicle, and they are on their own computer. You send them an email introducing about yourself, and also talk one or two line about something that he or she said that in the panel discussion. Build that connect, and then talk about the organization that you have and the kind of project that you're doing. That will sustain the relationship. Business card that we get after panel discussion, I don't know what happens to those business card in most of the cases. Do I keep them in a box that I have in my office? But I'm not very sure the same is being done by other CSR head, because we get too many. And second is that you are not getting one-to-one opportunity to talk and show the face to the other person, because there are too many people there, and no one will have the opportunity or space to initiate a good quality discussion. So that's the point number three. Point number four for me is that when you really wish to build a relationship, identify which are the corporates who are there. Look at the corporates who are there in your area or the area adjacent to where you are, and reach out to them and talk to them and share the kind of work that you are doing. So the whole idea is build your own database. Don't restrict yourself. Don't send it to anyone and everyone, because one organization who may be sitting there at Mumbai, and if you are there at Cuttack, and if they are not interested, if they don't have any intent of working in Odisha or at Cuttack, it won't serve any purpose. It's a waste of time that will happen on your side. But if you identify one organization who may be there in West Bengal or at Odisha itself, and you find that they are interested in Katak or adjoining areas, you can certainly reach out to those organizations. And this info will happen only when you start looking for your corporates who are there in your area. So the fourth point is that do your own research. Look at the corporates who are there in that area. Identify who heads the CSR unit of that particular corporate. Look at what are the priorities of that particular corporate. Look at what are the projects that they have done. Look at other NGOs whom they are supporting through their CSR, and check whether if you know any of those NGOs, so that you can also directly reach out to that NGO to understand what it takes to work with that particular corporate, to understand how easy or how difficult it is to bring them and see the kind of work that you are doing. That's point number five. And point number six is be authentic. There is no reason why you should go hyperbole when you are talking about the project that you have. We always advise people that there's a huge merit when you are what is called honest about who you are, the kind of work that you have done, or the kind of projects that you have handled, or the failures that you have seen, the kind of challenges that you have faced. Because once you are authentic, once you start talking about how the how the whole journey has made you much more clearer, much more sharper than how you were when you started the journey, that will help a corporate to understand that you mean business. They'll take you as someone who is honest, and they'll take you as someone who will be good to work with, because everyone is looking for people who are honest, people who are in the sense genuine, and people who in the sense are not afraid of acknowledging the failures or acknowledging the challenges that we have faced. So that's something that which I feel is very important when you are looking at building the relationship with a CSR. The another point is that, and this is one advice which I always give it to NGOs, is that go there with your own strength. Never start a discussion with sir or Anurag, tell me what kind of project that you are doing so that I can also do similar kind of project. Don't start with that. It's like जो तुमको हो पसंद वही बात करेंगे. There's no fun in doing that. It's always good, it's always advisable to go to any CSR head with a very clear notion of what you are doing and what you intend to do in future, because you have already done research, you have already done your own homework, and you already know that this particular organization is doing supporting education of girls, and you yourself is working on education for girls. So there is a connect as far as the thematic areas are concerned. So there is no fun in going and talking about anything else. You start with the work that you are doing. You start about some of the key achievement of yours. You start about some of the impact that you have created, and then you bring in the proposition about why it will be great to come together, join hand, and bring in the larger impact. That will, I'll say, make the other person also realize that, hey, I do see a huge amount of compatibility. Yeah, I do see a huge amount of similarity or synergy between the work that my corporate is doing and the work that this particular NGO is doing. So it will be a win-win for everyone. Another point which is linked to this is, if partnership doesn't succeed, for example, you reach to me and we had a good talk, and end of the day we said that hey, we are not moving ahead, it will be difficult to fund or support this project. That doesn't mean that you stop the communication. Nurture it. It's just like when you like someone and that individual said no, I'm not looking for someone to become partner. That doesn't mean that we stop caring for that individual. That doesn't mean that we leave that individual, but we occasionally give a message or send a WhatsApp to say, hi, how are you doing? Similarly with the corporates also, if that particular corporate had said in 2019 that, hey, this project doesn't suit, or this project is not linked to our larger priority, that doesn't mean that we'll stop the communication with them. Stop doing that. Send them those Diwali greeting to Christmas greeting to New Year. Don't start the good morning every day, but and don't stop sending them. I'll say this is the excellent work that we have done with this corporate, or this is one area where my NGO is creating a huge impact. Share those notes with them, because you just don't know, in 2020 their priorities may change, or they may get additional fund, and they may be looking for some other NGOs to support, and it's a human nature. So if it's like, if you are there in their thought process, if you are there in their scheme of things, they'll certainly reach out to you and they'll ask about, hey, you were talking about this particular project, I am looking for an NGO to work together, partner together to achieve this larger goal. Bingo. That's what you were seeking. So that's the advice is that never stop the relationship just because you didn't get the funding. The relationship should not stop, because when you build a relationship, it will have a number of transactions which will happen. And number of transactions doesn't mean that all the transactions will be financial, or all the transactions will be fund or project related. But the transaction will be in different way. Transaction will be, for example, if I'm sitting with some other CSR head and they are looking for some other NGOs to what is called venture into a new area. And if you are in a good relationship with me, I'll certainly recommend your name. Or if I know you and the kind of work that you're doing, I'll certainly tell them that, hey, why don't you try this particular NGO? Because the whole idea is that when we have built a relationship, there's we need to always nurture it. It's just like having a flower or having a plant there in your balcony. Every day you need to water it, you need to nurture it, you need to mend it, you need to, what is called, trim it. Then only it grows. Same is true with any of the relationship that we have with the CSR. You need to nurture it. It can't be one off. It can't be that I did that in 2016, now I'll do this into 2022. It needs to be regular. It needs to be, I'll say, in a way where it brings warmth, where it brings a huge amount of respect to you, and the respect is also reciprocal, where you also respect the other corporates. That is something that we all need to make sure that we follow and we work on. Another important thing, and don't take me wrong when I'll say this, and don't feel bad, and I've already given you a disclaimer saying that my 14 years out of 24 years was spent in the NGO side, and that's where I always tell whenever I meet the NGO representatives, NGO leaders, I tell them that it's sometimes it's really difficult getting time off from our calendar, and if you got 30-minute appointment with a CSR head, consider that as 30 minute only. It's not 31 minute or 35 minute, because they'll close at 31st minute because they have another meeting lined up. That's what our life is these days, and it's something that we all need to recognize. It's not that we are avoiding you. It's not that we don't want to meet. It's just that our calendar sometimes gets too blocked, and there may be, I'll say, my business leaders who want me to come and share something. There may be my seniors who will be looking for some report from my side. There may be some other client who will be looking for a presentation from my side. So I can't avoid them. I need to go there because I am accountable to them. So 30-minute becomes 30-minute in all possible sense, and that in the sense it requires that all of us need to build our pitch in the sense where we learn how to make our argument in a very precise manner, in a manner that people will understand, in a manner that people will comprehend, and in a manner that people can understand. And that's the reason why we call it elevator pitch. Elevator pitch is nothing but the opportunity that you get is just like opportunity that you get from in the lift, where you are on 10th floor, you all need to go to the ground floor. So you have from 10th floor to 0 floor, you get that kind of time, and you need to make the other person realize that, hey, I'm making sense now, and the work that this individual is doing is something which requires funding, and I should, in the sense, what is called, look for funding opportunity for this particular organization. So that is very important to make sure that your elevator, your pitch, your arguments, your point of views are precise in nature. Those days are gone, unfortunately, sadly, where we used to, what is called, spend 20 minutes in building the context, and then 30 minutes to talk about the real meat, and another 20 minutes to conclude. No one has that kind of time. Not just the CSR head, but all of you do not have that kind of time. We all have times in the block of 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour, and we need to make sure that we present our point of view in that particular time. So that's one point that I always share this with all the NGOs, everyone, even my team, that use the time that you are getting allocated for, and make sure that you build your argument in that particular manner. And linked to this is the when you get 30-minute time, you need to prepare yourself. I remember recently I was making a presentation with one of my senior board member. She's pretty very senior, and you will not believe we got 8 minutes for our presentation. I saw her rehearsing that presentation, and that was, I'll say, eye opener for me, because that made me realize that no matter how senior she is, and how much seniority that she has, but she is taking her job very seriously, and she feels that there's a need to prepare for this speech. And she was using her watch to calculate how much time she is spending on one slide. That kind of planning, that kind of I'll say meticulous planning, which went in creating that individual. And I learned there that if you get 8 minutes, you get 8 minutes. There is no 8 plus 30 second or 8 plus 40 second. You get 8 minutes precisely to close your argument within that. So one need to prepare. One need to make sure that if I'm getting 2 minutes, let's use that 2 minutes to talk about the strong or strength or the positive of the organization that I represent, and the background that I'm coming from. And the last but not the least, invest. Invest in creating the infrastructure that you have. When I say infrastructure, that doesn't mean that invest in buy three Scorpio or two-story building for you, but I'm saying create the infrastructure in the sense that invest in creating a good website of yours, invest in creating a good brochure of yours, invest in creating a brochure which is both in a physical mode and also in the online mode. Create I'll say, or develop your team in a way where team can speak English or and write English in a proper manner, because there are CSR heads or corporates who find it difficult to what is called read Hindi. I'm not saying that that's very very positive, but that's the reality. And if the reality is where people understand English, let's acquire that particular knowledge. And there's no shame in acquiring that any other language, which in the sense will help me what is called get the audience of the CSR head. So I'll rest right now here, and then let me see the question which you may have raised. And Pooja, if you can narrate those questions, that will be great.
Sure, sir. So the first question we have from Siddhant: how do you see the CSR consultancy firms connecting to the funders? How do the funding agencies see the CSR consulting firms?
I have two answers. One answer which will be, I'll say, where I say that those CSR heads who are new to the business, those CSR head who have just started that particular journey, they do certainly take the route of CSR consultancy firm to reach out to some of the NGOs who have not built their own network, who have not built their own connect, and who is looking to what is called establish themselves or take their organizational, take their corporate agenda to more number of NGOs. They certainly take the consultancy route. So that's a positive there. Similarly, from the consultancy side also, uh, more number of NGOs who are working with the consultancies or aligned with the consultancies have a larger, I'll say when they reach out to the that the noise that you heard, that's my daughter shouting because she needs some more attention from me. Yeah. Uh, the relationship of those bigger consultancies, bigger CSR consultancy with a larger number of NGOs, uh, uh, they do play a role in connecting initially with the corporate and the CSR head. That's a very relevant one. With those CSR heads who are already established, who are there in this particular field for, I'll say, 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, so they build their own constituency. They do know about NGOs. They do know about which are the NGOs who are really active and creating impactful work. So in some of the cases, they'll directly reach out also. So they'll go to you without taking the route that of CSR consultancies. Siddhant, hope I answered you. Siddharth.
Thank you, sir. Monica asks, what is the best way to identify prospective donors?
Read, do your own research. Look at two. One is that identify the core strength of yours. Don't change your priority just because Capgemini is saying that digital inclusion there'll be funding. Don't overnight change your priority saying that hey, from tomorrow onwards I'll also work in digital inclusion. That will I'll say that will not bring in huge amount of credibility to you. But what my suggestion will be that two prong. One is do your own internal research to understand which are the corporates who are there, who are actively working in. For example, if your education is your strong area, look at those corporates who are actively pursuing the agenda of education. Again, education is a huge, huge subject. So unpack that, look at girl child education, look at tertiary education, look at those corporates who are supporting that, and then identify corporates who are closer to where you are. For example, if you are in Odisha, then look at corporates who are there in, I'll say, MP, look at corporates who are there in Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Jharkhand, and all, because it's easier for them to reach out there and work there. That's one. Second is reach out to some of the groups like CSR box, NGO box, to understand the kind of database that they have, because they have built in their own database based on, I'd say, all of you who are attending this master class or attending other sections. You, in the sense, constitute a database to them, and all the CSR heads who are speaking, they also, in the sense, constitute a database for them. So they've created a compendium. They can do a matching, looking at the kind of priorities that, for example, Anurag and Capgemini is having with some of you who may be in that particular area. You can also use that particular route to identify which of the corporates who will be interested in the work that you are doing. Next.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shrey asks, how do we maintain a relationship after we have delivered a successful project?
You don't have to, in the sense that I'll tell you one thing, that if you have been a good friend, if you have been a good partner, if you have been a good person, there's no one in the world who want to leave those people. If you have been a good NGO who have really provided the kind of impact that the society or community or the corporate was looking for, they're not going to leave you. There's always a dearth of good people, good NGOs, good relationships, and people where you have delivered, people you have shown your worth. If they are dumping you, then I'll tell you one thing, that they are not worthy enough to have your attention. They are not good enough to have the attention of yours, because uh, uh, no one who in the right frame of mind will leave someone who have been, I'll say, excellent support in all possible sense. And same goes to the NGO CSR relationship also. If you have performed, if you have provided the impact that they were looking for, the relationship will continue. It breaks in only because there was a lack of transparency, or ethics or ethical standards were not maintained, or we didn't perform well. And if you are ticking in all these boxes, a person with the sane mind will not leave you. And if they are leaving you, they are not sane. Trust me.
Thank you, sir. We also have Nimisha who's asking, sir, would you have any tips for pitching more difficult subjects pertaining to access to justice for violence against women and children? Here we don't have very tangible deliverables and the numbers are small due to intense level of work involved. So it becomes tricky.
No, but there are, I'll say, access to justice. This is a bit, I'll say, it's like you need to frame it in a way that you do not go there to say that, hey, I'll bring in justice there with my work. You will not find too many takers there. But package it in a way where some of the key strategies will certainly lead to providing access to justice. But you will find very low number or very less number of takers for, I'll say, advocacy and lobbying work through CSR fund. You will not have too many people who will say that, let's get into, I'll say, the judicial related work, or let's get into something which is legal per se. You will not have too many I'll say, the CSR or corporates who will be willing to fund it. But that's the limitation of CSR. But on violence against women and girls, there are number of people, because gender justice is something that most of the corporates are deeply involved in. Again, the question is how you're packaging it. how you're because you will not find too many corporates who will say that, hey, I'll fund you for intangible work. Because corporates do look for numbers. Corporates do look for impact numbers. They'll certainly talk about how many people that you impacted. And there's no problem in saying that I impacted 20 or impacted 30. Because these are, I'll say, effort related interventions. These are not something that you just provide input and change will happen, but there are series of inputs that you will have to provide. There are series of work that you will have to do with these impacted communities. And if you present it properly, corporates do understand, and they will certainly. I'm working with some of the organizations who are working on this thing, and I do know how difficult it is, because when I was in your side, I have anchored a project on this, and I do understand that it takes huge amount of effort and huge amount of I'll say patience to continue and see the impact and see the change in this particular these kind of projects.
Thank you so much, sir. We have another question from Gaganpal Singh. With everything online, it is not easy to exchange cards or get email IDs. What are your thoughts on how to get more CSR connects?
Again, the point is that reach out to LinkedIn. There are other forums also. For example, if you heard about me, I'm just giving you my example because I don't want anyone to file a case against me saying that I took someone else's name there. So let me take my name there. If you heard about my name or you heard about me here and Pooja refused to share my email ID to you, the best thing is that go and Google Anurag Pratap Capgemini, and you may get my coordinate there, or you may get my physical address there or my office address there. And you will also get my LinkedIn profile. Go there, send me a mail there, send me a message there, and you ask for my email ID. Same you can do with other corporates also and other CSR heads also, because on LinkedIn, when we introduce ourselves, we do write head of CSR in X company. So you can certainly identify us. The online world is an interesting world. You need to know the trick of getting the right answers from the online world. And something that I always tell people, that the trick, you need to learn that particular trick. It's not something that anyone will teach you, but you need to acquire that. Yep. I know I got the alarm, so hardly we have 2 minutes left.
Thank you, sir. We still have
Quickly.
5 minutes. In
Oh,
case
we have
you'd
five
like to
minutes.
take a couple of more questions.
Yeah, no, I will, I
All
will, I
right.
will, I
So
will.
we have Jyoti asking. Her question is very direct and to the point. Where to focus, targets or processes, and how to balance?
The focus on the challenges that the community is facing. Don't look at processes. Don't look at anything else. Look at what your communities are asking for, and that's one. The second is what you can offer, because community may be looking for so many things. Community may have health related issues, education related issues, nutrition related issues, justice related issues. I'll say, but they'll have skill related issues, employment related issues, livelihood related issues. They'll have so many things. And once you've mapped that out, also map out your ability, your strength, your capability to, and then do a marriage to look at, if these are the challenges, if these are the skill set that I have, these two are one theme that I can actively work on, or actively bring in the impact there. That's one way of doing it. The second way of doing it is to look at the key challenges that communities are facing, do a prioritization. If you that you do not have the skill set to intervene, but those are, I'll say, very, very critical issues for them, build those skill set, acquire those skill set, or hire someone with those skill set, and then reach out to people to fund and support. Processes are part of this particular journey. Processes cannot, should not, must not determine what you should be picking up. I always tell people in within my own setup, in the foundations, whenever the admin guys or account guys come and tell us that, hey, don't do this because this is not good as per the their procedures, I tell them that you exist due to me. I don't exist due to you. So they need to find ways to of helping me out. I don't need to find ways to help them out. That's the clear understanding that people need to understand. Sometimes admin forces us. Sometimes the finance will tell us that, hey, we can't do this particular thing. You need to say it very clearly. NGOs, in NGO you can certainly do that because that's the core product that you are handling. That, hey, you exist to help me out. I don't exist to help you out. You exist because I exist, and that needs to be explained to them very clearly.
Thank you, Sil.
Next.
That was very insightful. We also have a question from Dipanvita. Given the recent FCRA changes and the resultant increase in the need for CSR funding,
Mm.
what are the 2 or 3 top strategies an NGO needs to adopt this year to find corporate funding partners?
If you missed out listening to what I said, then I'll say that the recording will be available. Listen to them. I've already talked about the whole thing, and it took me around 30 minutes to talk about it. I don't want to repeat those 30 minutes. Yeah. The topmost is build the trust, and the second is identify the corporates who are there in your area.